First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukal Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four quarters of the earth pushing this truth. As we know that most recently Venezuela had a 7.1 earthquake, and so Dabu 7 is even putting a warning out there. This could trigger a series of earthquakes coming up to California, aka San Andreas Fault. And lest we forget, last year Mexico City also had a very bad earthquake. It was either last year or the year before that, but either way it was a very large earthquake. Well, we already know about the wildfires here, so an earthquake, you know, could just be among other things. But, you know, while that's going on, of course, the White House, Donald Trump is now putting new tariffs against all those who trade with Iran, put new tariffs against Russia as well, you know, saying that Russia had something to do with the elections, saying that Russia had something to do with the Skripal poisoning, which is all bullshit, because we know that that whole thing was staged, just like we know Boston bombing was staged, just like we know 9/11 was staged, just like we know pretty much that that's what Esau does, is he stages shit to blame political enemies. But yet that's going to be the downfall of his structure, because the slain, which are the Israelites, they pretty much, they're trying to hide the history of it, you know, that, you know, we, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, collectively, Israelites, they're trying to hide that from us, you know, and, you know, they'll try to say things like, you know, they'll talk about how we were divided amongst ourselves, and that pretty much they had conquered, aka Gad, but that's not what happened. Pretty much what had happened is that Gad thought that Esau came in peaceably, and by peace he destroyed many, slayed us because he came in peaceably. As Daniel the prophet warned us, that this man of sin, this very vile person known as Esau, would do this. And so that's what happened to us. So-called white man came and took us down, and they try to do everything they can to wash the situation or to change it around to make it sound like, oh, well, we are already divided against ourselves. Sure, you know, they came, they conquered and all this, but that's not how they came. They pretended to be friends. That's why I tell you, if you have Edomites that are in pretense of being a friend, they're not really your friend. You know who the so-called white man is, and you know that he's the devil that the Bible speaks of. You know, it's one thing to be Clark Kent, but it's another to deliberately fellowship with the Edomites. You know that they're your enemy. You know that they can't be your friend. You know, and so pretty much you find out though that you contend for this faith all the time. You know, if you look like me, confusion of face, but you look like the Edomites, you still have to separate yourself from the Edomites, even though you may not be accepted among your own. And as another elder apostle had put it years ago, it was even worse than it is coming into this truth now. Because at least now it's more accepted, at least among Great Millstone, is accepted that if you have the spirit to receive, then you're an Israelite. But that's not accepted amongst most of these other groups, which are totally run by the Edomites. That's why you have the black-only Israelites, and you have them spewing out this madness. But that's because they become the doctrine of devils. Now, this video here is, I'm going to be doing like a two-part thing, meaning that the short-length video will be on this channel, Confusion of Face Reading, but the longer-length video where I look at other brothers' videos, I'm going to start putting those on Confusion of Face Reading 2 channel. This is what I used to do before they took down my channel. It used to be called In Revelation Times, where I would take a look at other brothers' videos. I would look at video clips. I just kind of, you know, the last few videos I did, just kind of giving you a glimpse of what it was and why my videos were taken down, because, of course, you know, I give you the edification of it. I do the best I can to put it together, but I also let the videos speak for themselves, so I don't really interrupt them unless it's necessary. But especially if you're showing footage of the war on Syria, I've learned that they really don't like that being exposed. Although, a few years ago, man, that's all that they showed on these things. I mean, you know, you had the War Leaks video, you had R&U videos, you had all kinds of videos showing you the Syria war footage, but they're trying to clean that up because they know that everyone knows that America supports these terrorist groups, so they're trying to clean that up. Make it sound like they're fighting a war on terror when really they're the terrorists themselves. You know, and that's why Esau keeps putting out these movies where they make you think that the war on terror, that they're really fighting the terrorists when you know that they support them. But pretty much, though, we were the ones blowing the whistle on that first, way before Alex Jones or any others. And, well, they try to take down other truthers. And it's not that uncommon that there are Edomites that will come against the Roman Empire, which were in the revised Roman Empire. That Edomites will come against them just as much so. Because, of course, they're being oppressed, too. I mean, fucking half of the Reading population is now homeless. It was about 30% before, but after the Scar Fire, man, I'm telling you, almost a great portion of it, especially in the main part of the city, homeless on them fucking streets now asking for money. You know, so not everybody's going to relocate to a FEMA center because they know the truth. They know that that you pretty much you're going to relocate and you're not going to be heard from again. It's what they did during Katrina. That's what they've done through other things. You know, the Houston, was that tornadoes last year, through caused by the hurricanes, the flooding and all that. Those people were relocated and never heard from again. A lot of them. And there was a guy that actually said, they're killing people in them shelters. So pretty much, you know, they never want a good crisis to go to waste. And I was even talking to an Edomite last weekend while doing the laundry. And she even said, because she lives in Shasta, which is not too far from the car fire, you know, and, you know, she was concerned because there was smoke around there, and she called CAL FIRE just right before that firenado formed, and they told her, oh, don't worry, the fire's far away. Yeah, well, the fire grew bigger, and then she actually said this. She said, they had all those firefighters there, how did it get out of control like that? You see, that's what I'm saying right there, is that, to me, this looks like a staged event, just like Mendocino Fire, and HERS Fire, which is currently going on. I've watched a pattern with this. Okay, they'll have it like 10% contained, so you think, okay, it's 10% contained, you know, they'll continue fighting this fire. And then all of a sudden it'll drop down to like 3%. It's only 3% contained. And all of a sudden it's spread. So it'll be 3% for a couple more days, and then it becomes 5%, and then just slowly comes up. That's how the car fire was, forming that firenado. So she even asked the big question, was this purposed? How can you have all those firefighters there and then just completely lose control like that? Doesn't make any sense. You see, that's just it. The government's turning against the people, and the people are starting to ask questions. But they're not going to show you that in the news. No, they'll just tell you that firefighter died fighting the fire. You know, Jeremy, I think was his name. And, you know, they'll show you that pretty much, you know, that, oh, it was a flat tire that caused this. Well, it might have been. And yet, the people that had the flat tire, they can't be spotted, you can't find them or anything. You know, makes you ask questions. Was this thing staged? Well, that's what Esau does. He lies, cheats, steals, kills. That's how he killed us. You know, especially the tribe of Gad up here, but came down on all of us tribes. Because, of course, he's a liar. He's a deceiver. So we're going to read out of Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 1. Then the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the Lord's house, which faces eastward. And there at the door of the gate were 25 men, among whom saw Jezaniah the son of Azur, and Peliah the son of Remani, princes of the people. And he said unto me, Son of man, these are the men who devise iniquity and give wicked counsel in the city. So, well, what city is this talking about? Well, pretty much city, Babylon the Great, America. You know, we could definitely say that. Who say the time is not near to build houses? The city is the cauldron, and we are the meat. So they built cities and houses upon the slaughter of our people. Therefore prophesy against them. Prophesy, O son of man. Then the Spirit of Yahweh fell upon me and said to me, Speak, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. Thus you have said, O house of Israel, for I know the things that come into your mind. You have multiplied your slain in the city, and you have filled the streets with the slain. Who's that talking about? Babylon the Great, America. You have multiplied your slain in the city, and you have filled the streets with the slain. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, your slain whom you have laid in the midst, they are the meat, and the city is the cauldron. But I shall bring you out of the midst of it. So Yahweh is calling us out of the midst of it. That's why he's saying, come out of her, my people, as he speaks in Revelation chapters 17 and 18. Come out of her, my people. You have feared the sword, and I will bring a sword upon you, saith the Lord Yahweh. So, again, that's what's going on. There are those that are afraid to speak up against Esau, that will not come against Esau. They're going to say that, not all Edomites are going to be destroyed. That's the deception of these other camps. I will bring you out of the mist and deliver you into the hands of strangers. Who are the strangers? Well, we're in a strange land right now. I mean, we don't belong here. This is not our land. And execute judgments on you. You shall fall by the sword. I will judge you at the border of Israel. Then you shall know that I am the Most High. The city shall not be your cauldron, nor shall you be the meat in the midst. I will judge you at the border of Israel. So again, Edom took us down, and yet we're brought into this bigger land of Edom, which is known as America, Babylon the Great. You shall know that I am the power, for you have not walked in my statutes, nor execute my judgments, but have done accordingly to the customs of the Gentiles which are all around you. And this started to happen at the fall of Jerusalem, when it had been taken down, and they didn't want to keep the customs anymore. They wanted to be uncircumcised and live like the Gentiles. Therefore, we are born into this generation now that doesn't know the Most High. Now it happened where, while I was prophesying that Palaliah, the son of Benaiah, died, then I fell on my face and cried with a loud voice and said, Ah, Lord Yahweh, will you make a complete end of the remnant of Israel? Again the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, your brethren, your relatives, your countrymen, and all the house of Israel in its entirety are those whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get far away from the Lord. The land has been given to us as a possession. Therefore say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, although I have cast them far among the Gentiles, which are the Hebrew Israelite, you have Hebrew Israelite foreigners, but then you have the actual Gentiles, and that's what this is talking about. And although I have scattered them among the countries, so it's talking about how we've been scattered among the four quarters of the earth, yet I shall be a little sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone, which you see it happening now. You got great millstone, not just in America, but you got them all over the place now. We are coming into this truth, and we're prophesying against it. You have us in the Philippines as well. All the places that we've been scattered. Therefore say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I will gather you from the peoples, assemble you from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. So what's that talking about? When it comes to gather us from the four quarters of the earth. And they will go there, and they will take away its detestable things and all its abominations from there. So all those abominable foods and all the customs that we want, that we were taught over here, that's not going to be happening once we're brought back into the land. Then I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within them, and take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh. So that's when we receive our glorified bodies. But we're coming into this truth now. We stopped eating pork. We stopped celebrating Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and all these wicked festivities. We stopped hanging out with Esau. We stopped pretty much following after his ways. that they may walk in my statutes and keep my judgments and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power. So that's what's happening now. We're getting called into this. But as far as those whose hearts follow their desire for their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their deeds on their own heads, saith the Lord Yahweh. So there's a judgment for that, for those that don't want to take heed to this, and they just still want to hang out with Esau and celebrate his festivities, or call upon the name Jesus Christ, and say that pretty much we're not supposed to know the name. Yeah, there's a special judgment coming for them. So the cherubim lifted up their wings with the wheels beside them, and the glory of Yahweh of Israel was high among them, and the glory of the power went up from the midst of the city and stood on the mountain which is on the east side of the city. Then the Spirit took me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Yahweh into Chaldea, which we know modern day Chaldea is America, to those in captivity, and the vision that I had seen went up from me. So I spoke to those in captivity of all the things that the Lord Yahweh had shown me. So, pretty much, Ezekiel had seen this future, and, that would be known as our present. So we're coming into remembrance as to who we were, which was the promise given to us. And as Revelation 14 says, only a certain few could learn that song. That is the 144,000, the elect, the house of David. 12,000 of each tribe could only learn this song. And so that's all we're doing, is that we're edifying each other. So that way, we will be ready by the time Yahweh shall deliver us from this wicked place. And we're praying for that. This being the year of prophecy, we're going to see a lot more. So, now I'm going to go on to other things, and this video is going to stop for the Confusion of Face Reading main channel. Shalom and Brakatah to all of you. So here's a little bit of the footage of the earthquake in Venezuela, which we know that's part of our tribes. As we know that South America, pretty much the original 10 tribes are all within that area. And so, here's this earthquake in the mist, just out of nowhere.
Habla serio, ¿qué?
Siéntate aquí.
Ok, si me
And here's Dabu 7, giving us his look on what may be the soon future as he looks at the earthquake map.
This is Dabu 7. I was just about to drop a video in terms of California and the Ring of Fire, and I talked about this specific area not having any activity, very little activity compared to what it normally does. And before I could even get it posted here, we've had a 7.3 magnitude earthquake strike northern Venezuela. There are video clips out there showing the windows in storefronts shattering and falling as the shaking hits the region. Here, just within 40 minutes, a 6.7 striking Vanuatu. Fiji is the region where the 8.2 struck. Since I didn't upload or get a chance to upload the last video that I just did, I mentioned in that there was an 8.3 that struck here in 2013. Now, these earthquake maps, especially this one, it likes to run the quakes off the bottom of the map and only holds less than a day worth of earthquakes. What we have here is an ongoing swarm up here in Alaska. We have the region that got struck in Fiji. We have the Lombok region that got struck with a significant quake as well. Then we have the 7.3 that has just struck here in Venezuela. And now the 6.7 that just hit Vanuatu. This is a lot of activity, an uptick, a for sure uptick in quake magnitude in terms of what's going on here with these quakes. Now, this past Sunday, this is another example of the uptick in magnitude. 53 quakes listed as major within 24 hours on Sunday by USGS. As major. So, yes, the Ring of Fire always sees volcanic activity. Yes, the Ring of Fire and the Earth always sees earthquake activity. But what we're seeing is a for sure uptick in the magnitude of these quakes. So there's more of them at a higher range, and as you can see here, there's bigger ones popping off left and right. So, in terms of this, the whole Ring of Fire and where we've seen activity, the big quake that struck up here, then we have Lombok, we have Fiji, we have Vanuatu that just got hit, and there was an area off of Japan, Iwo Jima, that was getting hit as well. This leaves the eastern flank with not a lot of action. Now all of a sudden, a 7.3. In the other video that I was going to upload, this was one of the areas I was talking about that was quiet. This whole region was quiet and has been. The reason I like to see some activity is because if it goes long enough without any earthquake activity or a release of energy, it can release a big quake. So this is what we have right now. An uptick in quake activity and a big 7.3 earthquake striking here in northern Venezuela. So this is the latest in terms of the quake activity. I'm going to leave a link here talking about Cali and how California should be prepared for some activity in the future. I mean, everyone knows that the big one is in the offing. There was just a decent quake that struck right up in here that's already fell off the map. But the area of concern, obviously, from the Cascadia, where it comes into the San Andreas, going right on down here into the Salton Sea. So, with the uptick, and with this being an area prone to earthquakes, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I hope anyone that lives in that area has an earthquake plan. And like I said, I will leave links below talking about all of this. And I will continue to update as we see more. It's been Dabu7.
And did I mention in South Korea, beyond the whole Korean peninsula there, you got typhoons hitting there. So, yeah, man, shit's fucking popping off. You know, we just had Yom Kippur, and now after the Day of Atonement, now things are starting to pop off, as if they weren't already. But you can see that, happening all around. Most High is judging this place. He is visiting this place.
Well, thank you very much for that report, Jihan. Now, we are going to stay with this extreme weather that's creeping towards this typhoon Solik, and we'll continue to bring you reports on this throughout the next couple of days, at least, as we gauge how much damage this typhoon does. So on its current path, it's forecast to be the first typhoon, as we heard, to pass over the country in years. Many other typhoons have indirectly affected us, but this one is going to directly influence Korea. The last time a similar storm, Typhoon Kompasu, did that in 2010, in fact, 5 people were killed and there was widespread damage. So it is advisable to stay safe when this storm makes landfall and keep an eye on weather reports like those done by our Lee Ji-hyun. So for this report, we're going to turn to our So Eun-kyung.
Korea is expected to be hit directly by typhoon for the first time in 6 years, starting Wednesday. The last typhoon that made landfall on the Korean peninsula was Sanda in 2012. The 19th typhoon of the season, Solik, is heading northwards after it was formed in waters northwest off Guam's coast last week. Although Solik has been categorized to the equivalent to a Category 2 hurricane, it stands out from previous tropical storms as it features an enormous eye. A typical cyclone eye is around a few dozen kilometers wide. However, Typhoon Soik's eye is more than 100 kilometers wide, indicating that it would take several days for the Korean peninsula to get out of the direct influence of the storm.
Typhoons usually can't pass over Korea when the North Pacific anticyclone surrounds the peninsula. Korea has been free from typhoons directly influencing the nation because the North Pacific anticyclone has been rotating over the peninsula.
Korean authorities are on high alert and are bracing for potential damage. Typhoon Solik is forecast to be similar to Kompasu in 2010, which claimed 5 lives and caused widespread damage in Seoul, as well as mountainous and coastal areas. The rear typhoon has been sweeping in towards southern Japan and is now heading north, nearing Korea's Jeju Island. Solik is forecast to hit the city of Gwangju on Thursday afternoon and move towards Gangwon-do province by Friday afternoon, bringing heavy rainfall and strong wind gusts. Seon-kyung, Arirang News.
And so here's United States, the whore Babylon the Great, slapping more sanctions on Russia illegally, as we know that pretty much the whore Babylon the Great makes itself the judge of the whole earth. But soon, all this is going to backfire, and this fucking place will be gone forever. So, let's see him slap these sanctions on Russia as a declaration of war.
Are going to turn to other stories in the headlines today. Namely, the United States has added to its growing list of sanctions against entities that violate UN restrictions regarding North Korea, this time hitting 2 Russia-based companies and 6 Russian vessels with punitive measures. The US Treasury Department said it will continue to pressure Pyongyang until the regime achieves final and fully verifiable denuclearization. Our Kim Hyo-sun tells us more.
The Trump administration has imposed new sanctions against 2 Russian shipping companies and 6 vessels for violating the UN Security Council resolutions. The U.S. Treasury Department announced Tuesday that the Vladivostok-based companies transported petroleum products to North Korean vessels in violation of international sanctions. It confirmed a Russian flagged ship transported over 3,500 tons of oil to North Korean vessels earlier this year. The Treasury also explained that the buyer was North Korea's Taesung Bank, which has already been slapped with sanctions by Washington for engaging in illicit economic activities for the regime. Explaining that the sanctions will remain in place until Pyongyang achieves final, fully verifiable denuclearization, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin stressed that those who violate the UN restrictions on North Korea will be sanctioned under U.S. law. This is third round of North Korea-related sanctions imposed by the Trump administration just this month and can be interpreted as added pressure against the regime ahead of U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's scheduled 4th visit to Pyongyang soon. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
And here is Gomer's reaction to that, better known as Turkey, or the House of Tagarma. They ain't too happy with the whore Babylon the Great either. And so we can see that this is going to escalate.
We start this evening with the widening rift between the U.S. and Turkey. President Donald Trump vows no concessions on Turkish tariffs, even if they return Pastor Andrew Brunson, the American pastor who's been held there since 2016. Manila Chan is following the story, and she joins us now with more. Hi, Manila.
Thanks, Natasha. So I've heard experts describe the situation between Turkey and the U.S. as malaise made worse by stubbornness. That, of course, a reference to the spiraling economic situation in Turkey being met with the ire of Donald Trump as Turkey's currency, the lira, drops to record weakness against the U.S. dollar, now 7 lira to 1 U.S. dollar. Recep Erdogan had some fighting words for outside forces, as he says, he claims is responsible for his country's economic woes, but just stopping short of outright blaming the U.S.
There is no difference between the direct attacks on our call to prayer and our flag and the attack on our economy. The goal is the same. The goal is to bring to heel Turkey and the Turkish nation, to hold it captive. We are a nation that prefers to be shot in the neck rather than to be chained by the neck.
And to be clear, Turkey's financial problems are being made worse by recent Trump tariffs, which stemmed from that detention of evangelical pastor Andrew Brunson. At least that's the official statement. Insiders know that political tensions have been brewing since Trump was a candidate. But Trump is not the root cause of the economic turmoil there. Turkey's problems are at least twofold, since foreign cash is vital for any country, especially in emerging markets and economies like theirs. The spat they're having with America now is making investors very nervous. To make matters worse, money is cheap there. They've seen a government-sponsored credit boom over the last few years that have artificially depressed interest rates. Economic experts across the world seem confused by Erdogan's economic policies because he seems to think that high interest rates are to blame for inflation when in fact it's just the opposite. Turkey is also about to get a bailout from Qatar to the tune of around $15 billion in an effort to stabilize the failing lira. But again, experts say this will fail in righting that ship. This, however, can be a signal of the changing tides of Turkey's geopolitical strategy drifting further away from Western alliances. First, the blatant fight with the U.S., and in recent weeks, we've seen a deal cut with Russia in regard to trade. Now this bailout from Qatar. This leaving some geopolitics experts saying Turkey may exit NATO by year's end, and the Turks still denying release to Andrew Brunson, who is still held on house arrest. So, Natasha, this spat between the U.S. and Turkey could potentially shift alliances across the globe. Turkey has been a part of NATO since 1951, but this pastor detention has really been a flashpoint between the two allies and could mark the end of a very long relationship. Natasha?
A lot still developing there. Thank you so much, Manila Chan.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe to never stop questioning more.
And of course, Amalek, which we know Donald Trump pretty much is Amalek, you can call him that, because he's totally on their dick. And so here's more tariffs that they're slapping on China. And pretty much America's going to get a punch in the face like never before. They're all going to turn their 200 million nuclear missiles towards this bitch, America. And of course, they're going to destroy that fucking Tel Aviv, man. You think that they don't fucking know about Amalek? Oh, they fucking know.
The Trump administration is moving closer to levying tariffs on nearly half of all Chinese imports. This despite a fresh round of trade talks that are set to start between the two countries. Sources say President Trump wants a two-track approach of pursuing tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods while relaunching talks to scrap the tariffs. Observers say the approach reflects a split in the administration on how to deal with Beijing. The two sides will try to revive trade negotiations in Washington on Wednesday local time, but neither side is that optimistic the meeting can succeed, where 3 earlier rounds failed.
And here's another video brother did breaking down what happened with the Genoa Bridge in Italy. That happened about a week and a half ago. So, yeah, pretty much this is hell. Eyewitnesses relay tragic Genoa Bridge collapse. Yeah, and a lot of people died in that, kind of like the San Francisco earthquake. And so and this place is getting judged.
Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai. Oh, praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Waharak HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone. Honest you brothers to be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So this is going to be a video based upon the statement made by this individual, this eyewitness to this bridge dropping down in Genoa, and basically I'm pretty sure people have done videos on it today, but what I wanted to do is to respond to the statement. And the simple statement is, you haven't seen nothing yet. Okay, and then I was going to go into the scriptures, because pretty much when something like this happens, this happens for judgment. But this is judgment on what, 30 people? Well, the Lord's bringing his judgment for a whole bunch of people. Okay, you know, millions of people, man, if not billions, that the Lord's going to be returning with. See, a lot of people got this notion within their head that the Lord is just love. Okay, now that's one aspect of his spirit. But if there's another aspect of his spirit, which is the side, which is the balance. Okay, when you got love, you gotta have hate. When you got life, well, you gotta have death. Okay, so if we go to the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel 1 and 6, or is it 1 Samuel? So I think it's 1 Samuel 1 and 6. Okay, it's gonna let you know that pretty much. Okay, 2 and 6, 2 and 6. Okay, he's going to let you know pretty much that this was an event that was set up by the Most High. But more to the point of my video is that the Lord is going to bring, okay, hell fire on earth, because you got into a whole bunch of people. They think that that underneath the ground there is some hellhole where they're gonna experience fire and brimstone if they do bad things. But the reality of the situation is, okay, the Lord is going to bring judgment upon the earth that we're living in right now, okay, which is going to be by way of the ICBM nuclear missiles. Okay, it's going to come by the vehicles of the Lord, which are known as chariots, that are going to do damage to this place and basically make it afresh, okay, from the ground up. All right, so if you're talking about food, you got to where there's a large amount of food, okay, out here that's GMO. The Lord ain't dealing with GMO foods. Okay, that's not an invention or by inspiration of the Most High, okay, or at least on the right hand side. That's by the inspiration of Satan, of which when you check out the scriptures, Satan is controlled by the Lord. Okay, so that's by inspiration of the Most High, but really through the left hand side. In other words, it's supposed to be left alone. Okay, so the Most High, when he sends his son, they're going to be doing away with GMO crops. So all of that's going to be redone. Okay, a lot of these people out here, they're into idolatry, of which the punishment of idolatry, the punishment of adultery, which they get into, all of the punishments of those things are death. Okay, if a person was going to be worshiping other gods, sleeping with other people's women, okay, that's a dude. Okay, pretty much the punishment of that was going to be death. So that's why you see events like this happening. But see, really, the hell hasn't come yet. Okay, and what I mean by hell, I ain't talking about, like I said, when you go into the scriptures, there's no such thing as hell. Rather, that hell and heaven, okay, are conditions that are played out upon the earth. So you haven't seen nothing yet. Okay, what's coming, you're going to see within the scriptures, that's going to outmatch any of that. Okay, so let's go into the scriptures here. The book of 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter and the 6th verse. It says, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the ground and he bringeth up. So when you see a person die, that's because the Lord put them to death. When you see a person that's born, that's because the Most High set it up for that person to be born. Okay, the Lord maketh poor and maketh rich and bringeth low and lifteth up. So the Lord sets all of these things up. He puts it all into motion, whether a person is going to be born into the Rothschild family and they be the richest family. But also, too, you have to remember, okay, is the Lord also sets it up to where what? This whole thing of Esau being in power, okay, the Lord set that up, okay? The Most High set that up. But what's going to happen after is that the Most High is going to give the earth into the hands of the righteous. The book of Job, the 9th chapter and the 24th verse, it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. By whom? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay, so the Most High has got it to where the wicked are increasing, because the scripture says that what? When if the wicked be increased, if I could get that as the next scripture, if the wicked be increased, is for the destruction, it is for the sword. Okay, so you got these Edomites, okay, pushing their rebellious doctrine onto the people, pushing their rebellious witchcraft onto the people, and as a result, the people are all types of wicked. All right, and what's going to happen? You're going to see you're going to see hell. Okay, you're going to see hell. Okay, you're going to see hell upon earth. Okay, you're going to see the smoke. Okay, you're going to see the fire. You're going to see the lake of fire, which we're going to read about within the book of 2 Peter, 3rd chapter and the 2nd. And that's going to be here for what? for the wicked which have covered the earth, okay, and also they've spread their wicked and rebellious doctrine. Okay, so this is the book of Job, the 9th chapter, on the 24th verse. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who is he? Okay, so basically, the Lord, he rules in the kingdom of men, and he gave this earth into the hand of the wicked. Okay, so now let me check out this scripture. If the wicked be multiplied, all right, multiplied. I believe it's in the book of Proverbs. I believe it is. Okay, so bear with me whilst I locate the scripture. Right, here we go. So yeah, of course, it's the book of Proverbs. Was it the 16th chapter? Okay. Oh, is it if the wicked? Try to remember the exact wording of the scriptures. Okay, let me try to type it out another way. Be increased. And put sword. Now I can't remember the exact location of the scriptures. If someone wants to put it in the comment board, you can put it in the comment board, but it goes something like this. It says, if the wicked be increased, it is for the sword. And when you go into the scriptures, you find out the Lord is preparing a great judgment, all right, out here. In fact, if I go the blood and rams, there's going to be a nice scripture that goes in here, and that's within the here we go, Isaiah 34, and let's start from 5. Isaiah 34 and 5, it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven, behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. And that's important, okay, because the descendants of Idumea, okay, Edom, which is Esau, they're the ones that when you go into the scriptures, you find out they're the wicked, okay, and the Most High pretty much said he's laid their heritage waste and he's gonna destroy it. So this thing which she's calling hell, man, that's just one bridge. Okay, you're gonna have it to where bridges, okay, skyscrapers, whole cities are gonna be laid waste, all right, for this judgment that we're reading about here. And you might think about judgment. You think, what judgment? Well, the scripture talks about how they have put their hands upon the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, and as a result, they're gonna be punished for that. Okay, when you go into the book of 2 Thessalonians 1:6, it says, seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation unto them that trouble you. So eye for eye, tooth for tooth, so you can understand. So they put us into slavery, they're going to go into slavery. They destroyed and razed Jerusalem. We go into the history, there was accounts where, okay, they will come up against Jerusalem, or they will help whoever was coming up against Jerusalem. There's an account in the book of Obadiah where when the Babylonians were taking down Jerusalem, and Esau, the Edom, which is Edom or Idumea, they were partaking in that. They was, holding, they was hand in hand, so to speak. Okay, so my sword shall be bathed in heaven, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse. Okay, so the sword of the Lord is filled with the blood, and is made fat with the fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys and of rams. For the Lord had a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So that's what's going to be happening. Okay, let's read it from another perspective. The book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. And not just Idumea, because guess what? If they're in rulership, like the book of Jeremiah, was it the 51st chapter or the 50th chapter says, all right, how Babylon, which is, when you go into the scripture now, that's America, okay, it's been a golden cup within the Lord's hand. You find out these nations have followed after the ways of Idumea. So they're gonna have a similar punishment too. All right, they're gonna have a similar judgment coming upon them. Okay, their cities are gonna be laid waste, and their things that they hold in esteem, which is these buildings, okay, these cities, okay, this lifestyle that they've acquired, okay, that's gonna be brought low. Okay, and righteousness is going to be the in thing then. Okay, 2 Peter the 3rd chapter. Let's start from 10th, just go straight to the point. Okay, the 10th verse, it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat, and the earth and the works thereof," it says, "and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you ought to be in holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming day of the Most High, where in the heavens, which are these cities, okay, Abu Dhabi, okay, Dubai, was it Shanghai, okay, New York, all right, Los Angeles, all of these places that are held in the scene, that's like heaven. Okay, well, the Lord is going to overturn it with fire. Okay, a lot of those places are going to be brought down. You ain't going to have a kingdom of heaven. You're going to have a 100-story skyscraper in there. When you go into the scriptures, that's even against the laws of building. Okay, I believe within the law, okay, it's set up that if it's 3 stories high, that's the maximum height. And that makes sense, because from 3 stories high, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a drop down. You might break a bone, but you're going to live in the event of a fire. Hell, you can get a decent rope, and really you can have the most scared person from a 3-story building. You can climb down out of a window. But if you're 140 stories high, fire break out like Grenfell or something like that, how are you going to get out of that place? Okay, also too, when you check it out, you could really be malicious with that, which is what they've done. Okay, and charge people all types of money to live up way out there in the sky, and then take the land for yourself. Which the land, that's really the prized possession. That's why you have a thing called airspace. Okay, you have a thing out there called airspace, and these people out there buying up airspace. Okay, which is wicked. So it says they're looking for and hastening unto the coming day of the Most High, where in the heavens these cities and that being on fire shall be dissolved. Okay, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat. Okay, so that's what's going to come to this place, and that's what's going to be the help, man. That's what's going to be the great tragedy. That's going to eclipse all of these bridges falling down, sinkholes. Okay, it's going to overpass. Okay, the judgment to put on them Egyptians. Okay, it's going to overpass Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to make it look like nothing. Okay, so that's what's coming to this earth. Okay, that's what's coming to the Western world, so you can understand really not just the West, but to this wicked kingdom. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahshai, Waharu, Kakadash, double honors unto the apostles of great millstone. On Shiva of us be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.
And while that's going on, of course, Russia has responded, so they're going to decrease holdings of U.S. securities, pretty much, all the time, America's being put in check as pretty much, America's now got enemies that it's never had before, and an enemy that they cannot defeat. And that's just the way that the Most High had done this. So that way we can get out of here. So that way Esau would bully himself into a war that he could not win. This is all the Most High bringing this together.
Thanks so much for being with us. Well, Russia says it will keep decreasing its holdings of U.S. securities in response to new sanctions. According to the Russian Finance Minister Anton Siluanov, the country will increasingly use the ruble and other currencies, including the euro, rather than the U.S. dollar in its settlements. The U.S. has imposed new sanctions on Russia over the poisoning of a double agent and his daughter in Britain months ago. The UK claims that Russia was behind the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal. Russia denies this. I'd like to welcome Greg Simons, author and researcher, to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. Well, what do you make of all this? First of all, why do you think that the U.S. imposed sanctions against Russia at this point in time? And also I want to talk to you about Russia's response.
Okay, it does seem a little odd, the timing, insofar it's quite a delayed response to an accused or a possible event. This seems to be indicative of this clash between the executive and the legal branches of government, because on the one hand you've got Trump and his administration saying they're doing something which is not in line with this, and then you've got the bureaucratic federal administration which is doing something else, and they've been quite active in pursuing these Russia sanctions. So this could be a result of some kind of internal dispute which has been resolved, and then it's come to this.
And now what? With Russia's talking about its response, decreasing U.S. securities, is it really going to have an effect on Washington?
Well, I doubt if it will have much of an effect. It's symbolic, but it's been something which Russia, not to mention China, have been doing or thinking about doing for some time. So this gives the occasion which they actually declare and then maybe carry out this idea. I mean, this is part of the strategy within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and also entities like BRICS to try and break the stranglehold of the US dollar on international trade.
Thank you so much for being with us, Greg Simons, author and researcher out of Sweden.
And this is another video brother put together. Woe unto you that sacrifice to other gods. Well, how do you sacrifice to other gods? Well, calling upon the name Jesus Christ, which is Caesar Borgia. You know, IUIC in particularly, they love to use the name Jesus Christ, which we know that that's no different than Christianity. So it's really just another version of stretched Christianity. The only difference is that, they might tell you about Caesar Borgia, and they might tell you a few other things, but they're still calling upon the name of Caesar Borgia when they use the name Jesus Christ. And then, of course, other customs of Esau. Sacrificing unto other gods is definitely what'll get you killed in this second death.
Alright, Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahshai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of their millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Now I'm just doing this video on this article you can see, and there's also video proof of it, but here we go again. More info coming out on wickedness that is being done around the world just for money, all for the love of money. All right, so as you can see here, it says an ex-football player, Shiva is the goal, claims mother was sacrificed in a bizarre speech. So we can read a little bit. It says he has claimed that his mother was sacrificed to further his football career. Now, this was a football player, or soccer as it's known over here, but in Africa, it says ex-Zantes football player reportedly made a series of exceptional claims at a Christian confession ceremony, including that his mother was sacrificed by his father, Nikazul, or however you say it. Also admitted that he is 5 years older than he claims throughout his career, which would now make him 39 rather than 34. The comments revealed first by Get French Football News report that Zigo admitted to having incestuous relationships with both his aunt and his sister, as well as several relationships with men throughout his career. Now, what does this tell us? The scriptures say that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay? Now, since the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, it is very difficult for our people to make it in this world, because we have two different manners, two different types of people. And in order to make it, you got to sell out, you got to sacrifice. This is just one example of the soccer player, and you can actually watch it right here. Now, I lost the video where they actually translated what he's saying in English on the screen. I just don't have the video no more. I don't know what happened to it. They might have taken it down. But for those of you that might speak a little bit of French, or people that know French, during this part, he's confessing everything that happened that he had to do for the money. And he's confessing that he had to kill his mother, sleep with men, all for the love of money, man. Although this was happening in Africa, this is big over there in Africa. It started over here. It's big over here in America as well. So all these top celebrities and all of them, all for money. You might hear about their parents die or someone close to them die. It's because a lot of them give up sacrifices to these pagan gods in order for them to make it in the world. All right, so this is Deuteronomy 32 and 16. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils. Now we know the word devil goes back to the Latin word diablo, which means deceiver. Alright, because ultimately you're being deceived when you sacrifice to these false gods, to these Edomites to make it in this world. Because you're not going to get salvation by way of doing this. Actually making it in this world is deceiving itself. Because there's nothing we can make it to get. We can't make it. We can't get everlasting life through money, through paper. Alright, so you're ultimately being deceived when you try to when you sacrifice into these false gods to get false money, man. As money today is nothing but paper, man. True money is gold, silver. And really when you go into it, the true riches is this truth, this knowledge that we have right now. Alright, it says they sacrifice unto gods, unto devils, not to the Most High, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up. Yeah, because truly all these gods that are out here are new, compared to the Heavenly Father. The Heavenly Father is called the Ancient of Days, And your fathers fear not, We weren't back in the ancient day fearing Allah, Buddha, money, which is anything that you worship, can be an idol or can be a god. And obviously, his mother was sacrificed to further his career, so his God was his career or his money that he was making, and truly to his father, because his father, when you read it, his father was the one that sacrificed his own wife, because his father was making money off of his son's contract. So his father sacrificed his wife for more money. All right, and this was all done at a Christian confession ceremony. Now, what I just read, I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 12, and let me see. I'm gonna start at 29. When the Lord thy power shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land, take heed to thyself that thou, see now it said, when the Lord shall cut off the nations, and we take over a certain nation, and we go in their land after we take them over, this is a warning that the Lord was given to us. Right? It said, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. And whose land are we in right now? Well, this is not our land. This is not Israel, America, which goes back to a so-called white man. All right? So we're in another nation's land right now. Right? And truly the Native American Indians, all right, so-called Native American Indians, which are the tribe of Gad, were here before the so-called white man got here. But ultimately, this isn't Israel. So we're in another people's land following another people's gods, man. Africa was a land of the Hamites, man. I believe this is where it had taken place. But we didn't heed to the warning of the Lord. All right? Keep continuing on to verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. After that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy power, for every abomination to the Lord which he hated have they done unto their gods. Even their sons and their daughters they have burnt into the fire, in the fire to their gods. Come on, man. And what is happening right now? However they sacrificed him, his mother, right? It was an offering to another god, man, to a different god. All to make it in this world, to live the life of in these wretched bodies that we got, you know, it shows you that this is not our world because we can't make it without doing things like this. That's why the men of the Lord, the scriptures speak about how the men of the Lord are going to be poor, you know. I'm not talking poor like Apostle Gabar said, or said before. I'm not talking poor like eating at a garbage can, you know. But we don't have millions of dollars. You know, we have enough just to get by every day. But obviously, the people who don't, they obviously had to do something to get that money. And they're obviously not a man of the Lord. All right? Now, I got one more scripture. Psalms. Well, actually, let's see. 2 Timothy 6. No, so like 1 Timothy 6. And, yeah, 1 Timothy 6. I'm going to start at verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. All right? What we got right now, we're fine with it. You know, we're not greedy. We're not seeking more than, you know, what the Lord has given to us. Verse 9. But they that be rich fall into temptation and a snare. Right? And what is that snare is what the Lord warned us of when we're going to another nation's land. You know, it's following after those other gods going off. And into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So we're not supposed to be worshiping the dollar bill, man, or whatever money is across the world, because like I said, true riches are these scriptures. Right? The knowledge, the true understanding, the truth is what the true riches are, man. Because that is the only thing that can deliver us out of here, man. Paper is just paper, man. Gold is just gold. None of these things can deliver us out of here. You know? Psalms, and I'm going to end it off with this. Because a part of falling into this trap is you trusting in the so-called white man. Trusting in the devil. Right? You don't call the devil for no reason. The devil means deceiver. Right? Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, for war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You know, ultimately, you're going to fall for their traps, fall for the little scams they bring to you to make money, and it's going to lead to your destruction at the end, man. You know, some are going to be, you're thinking that you're making and having all the money in the world. When you're on the so-called white man's list, you're an easy target. You know, you could be drafted for war. And ultimately trusting and saving, Salaki, not saving, but, what was that word? Trusting and putting your hopes in the so-called white man is going to lead to your destruction, alright? So with that, Lord willing, we're edified, you know, on this wicked nigga and what he did for his money. Lord willing, we're edified. I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shai, by Shem Kakadash, that will honor us to the apostles and the elders of Great Most High, and Shalom to the hopeful elect.
And this is another video from GMS Maccabean Spirit, better known as Brother Malcolm, as, you know, I really get a lot out of his lessons, and I hope you do as well. Pretty much, you know, he's been on fire for a long time, just like Brother Kazat, Yahweh Shai's Coming Back channel. And both have recently had videos that, not within even 5 or 10 minutes after uploading them, had Esau come against them and pretty much made them rated R, you know, to the point that You can't add them to a playlist. You can't copy them. That, you know, they're pretty much frozen. You know, that, you know, and it's all because they're very good videos that tell you the truth. But that's what Esau hates. This truth is really hurting Esau's cutting on every lie that he ever told.
Shalom, shalom. Call halal Yahweh by Shanal Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers into this work of truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the hopefully elect and the aqua that are listening and learning. This is your brother Malcolm. And I'm going to read a quick scripture. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5:2. And it reads, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. All right? The miracles and the things that the Lord are going to do to prove his truth, to prove who his prophets are, to save his people, are going to just completely, some people are going to give up the ghost at the sight of some of the miracles that are going to happen. All right? And I want to give an account of something that happened to me today. And the spirit, I was going to do this later on tonight, you know, when I was in front of the computer all comfortable, you know, could sit down with my books and my scriptures in hand, you know, because only book that I have is my Apocrypha right now. Because I was trying to make my bag light today. So I can't be swordless completely, so usually I'll keep my Apocrypha on me at minimum when I'm riding the bike and that sort of thing, just trying to make my life, my load lighter. But I went to go see a doctor that I've known for years. You know, I usually go see him a couple times a year, like maybe every 6 months or maybe every 4 months. You know, I go see him, and he adjusts me. He's a chiropractor, and a damn good one too. And sometimes I think he might be Jake, you know, just through his spirit. But anyway, today he told me a story, and you know, I don't even know how we got on the conversation of things that are going on in the world. He's kind of hip to a lot of things, not understanding the scriptures or any spirituality. And you know, and he tries to match up spirituality with science. But nevertheless, I have to tell you what happened today. So anyway, he told me about a woman who had a large aneurysm, larger than any that anyone had ever seen, because no one had ever seen one before, because they usually explode and kill the person. So she went in to see the doctors to get operated on. And the doctor told her that it's not even worth operating, that she's dead. That she's literally walking dead. You know, he probably didn't tell her, you know, it is just like that. He pretty much told her that she needs to get her affairs in order, and her family and friends and that whole sort of thing, because she should already be dead. She shouldn't even be alive. So, of course, she went for a second opinion, and the second doctor pretty much told her the same thing. All right? Then there was a third doctor that actually accepted her, but he told her to make her arrangements, and that she probably wouldn't survive this, but he's going to try his best to save her. And, you know, through some miracle of the Lord, the woman actually made it through it. All right, but it's what takes place during and after her operation, which is what makes this so compelling, to where I felt the need that Israel needed to hear it. You know, even you heathens, all right, because some of you are going to watch, you know, and scoff, you know, but that's not going to change anything. But what if some did not believe? But the doctor told her that she had to be completely still, and that if she moved during the process, she would surely die. That's how sensitive this operation was. So basically, one of the things they did was they had to stop her breathing and put her on a machine to breathe for her with some sort of weird oxygen. And they also had to stop her heartbeat. All right? And they plugged up her ears because they didn't want her to have any sound reactions. You know, like when they operate and something goes wrong and some tools fall, or anything that happened on the operating table, which would actually make her have any sort of reaction. That's how sensitive it was going into her brain to remove this aneurysm, because if it exploded or broke, it would kill her. All right? And it says, right as they finished, Right as they finished the operation, her body jumped. Okay? So it took a couple days for the anesthesia to wear off and for her to come around, and you know, and they was monitoring her, and she was, all her vitals were there, and she made it through. So when she came around, the doctor was there to talk to her. All right? And when she began to talk to him, she started talking about how when they were operating on her, she was floating over the top of them watching the whole thing. And this doctor is actually an atheist, or was an atheist. All right? And the doctor told her that, you know, he's heard that many times before. People say that all the time. But then this woman began to explain the process of what they were doing to her in the operation. And the doctor began to, like, you know how when something happens and you put both your hands on your head like it's shot? So the doctor's tripping that this woman is explaining these things to her, to him, because there's no way possible that an unconscious person who's completely numb to all feeling and hearing could explain, there was no way to explain what she was telling him. All right? So, yeah, she began to explain the operation process. So she said, you guys had a problem with my right leg. And the doctor said, we did. When we were trying to connect something up to your right femoral artery, the artery was so small, we lost it. And we had to, quickly go to the left one. And we almost lost you on the table while doing so. So he's freaking out, like, how the hell could she know that? All right? Okay. Then, she began to tell him that she saw these different colors. Okay, she saw like green and white and blue. She saw these colors, and the doctor, once again is putting his hands on his head like, what the hell? He's like, okay. He explained to her that the different doctors wear different colors so that everyone knows their place if things go wrong, so they're not running into each other, etc., etc. Like I think the anesthesiologist wears white or green, and the surgeon wears green. I forget who wears what and what wears what, and I'm pretty sure that the nurse, the assistant, is probably the one wearing the blue. But, which I didn't know that. That was interesting, a little tidbit of information to find out. But, because the average person does not know that, I didn't know that. All right? And then she said while she was on the table, she saw a light in the corner of her room, and as she began to go toward it, away from the operating table, that she heard the voice of her grandfather, and that she was arguing with her grandfather because she was saying she wanted to come where he was, and he told her that you can't. You have to go back to your body. All right? It's not your time yet. You're not supposed to be here. And she asked the doctor if that light was God. So he is like completely tripping. And she said, and what happened was her grandfather pushed her back into her body, all right? Which is right around the time that her body jumped when they finished. And they had just finished the operation, and all of a sudden she had a reaction. Had she jumped or moved when they were operating on her, she surely would have died. So basically the doctor believed this woman, because this woman explained her operation in detail from beginning to end, and the only way was that she was conscious and that her spirit was really hovering above. All right? And so he said, well, if her spirit was hovering above, then that really does have to be a God. And there is a power. His name is Yahweh, and he's coming to deliver his people. He's sending his son to deliver his people and take down all the rulerships and power structures of the earth, all right, with great violence, all right, and place his people. And the strangeness of our salvation will be so horrific, so wonderful, but yet horrific, that people literally are going to give up the ghost. So with that, that's just something that I much needed to share. It was so heavy on my spirit. Call halal Yahweh B'Shem Shai B'Shem Rakakadash Wa Abad B'Bal.
And here are the real terrorists. The U.S. military saying that, oh yeah, they plan to stay in Syria after the defeat of Islamic State. Well, they are Islamic State, pretty much. They're the ones that are bringing in the terrorists from Saudi Arabia through all these other countries to come against the Syrian government, because that's who they want to kill next. So of course they're going to say, yeah, oh yeah, we plan to stay in even after ISIS is defeated. Their goal was never to defeat ISIS. That's why ISIS is not defeated. Pretty much under guise of Syrian Democratic Forces fighting ISIS, which is all horse shit. Because of course, you know, to do airstrikes on Syria, you'd have to do a false flag. Because the United States is out of there as far as that goes, so now they have to keep ground units in there supporting the Syrian Democratic Forces, because they can't do airstrikes against ISIS anymore because Russia has taken over that. So pretty much little bitch America has backed itself into a corner and now has to stay on the ground. So boots are on the ground in Syria.
الأعمال والبرامج التي نقوم بها مع التحالف الدولي ليست مرتبطة بالعمليات العسكرية التي ستنتهي قريبا وفي الجيب الأخير لداعش في حوض الفرات، ولكن سوف تستمر لتطبيق البرامج والأعمال سواء مع قوى الأمن الداخلي أو المجالس المحلية أو حتى مع قوات سوريا الديمقراطية، من خلال استمرار الدعم والبرامج التدريب لتطوير إمكانيات القوات وقدرتها على الدفاع عن هذه المناطق لمنع ظهور داعش مرة أخرى في هذه المناطق بشكل نهائي.
Charles Lister in 2015 produced a list of some 70,000 moderate rebels. On that list was Noureddin al-Zenki and Jabhat Shamia. Noureddin al-Zenki, now it's pretty well known, they're a Salafist, explicitly anti-democratic group that has worked with Al-Qaeda in eastern Aleppo. They were documented firing on civilians trying to flee eastern Aleppo. They were filmed, videotaped themselves beheading an adolescent boy, Abdullah Isa. And this is a group that says its goal is to build an Islamic State. So my question is, given that you got it so badly wrong on who the moderate opposition is, how can we trust you or any other Gulf-funded expert?
Over the past 6 months, the Assad regime has methodically expanded its control of territory across large swathes of Syria.
Oh, how dare the government of Syria expands its authority over the Syrian territories? How dare the Syrian government control Syrian territory? This is, how can anybody believe this guy? Let's suppose there are armed groups in the United States and the American government is trying to control that area, and you are just protesting the right of the American government to have full control over its territory.
Exploiting so-called de-escalation agreements to regroup and prioritize military operations in one area at a time.
Charles, excuse me, the de-escalation zones were not permanent deals. They were temporary deals, and it's good that you understood the reason behind this de-escalation zone, which was to regroup and reprioritize the battles of the Syrian government in Syria, and this was a political win for the Syrian government to agree on such a deal, and I spoke about this deal. I said this will have positive impact on the ground.
Having violated and then conquered de-escalation zones in eastern Ghouta in April, in rural Homs in May, and most recently in
eastern Ghouta, there was a de-escalation zone. However, the escalation zone also states that in any area where Al-Nusra Front or ISIS exists, these two terrorist organizations and older groups that operate with these terrorist groups, they should be excluded from the escalation zone. And in eastern Ghouta, there was Al-Nusra Front, which is Al-Qaeda, and all the armed groups, including Jaish al-Islam, including Ahrar al-Sham, including many other terrorist groups in this area. They were operating with Al-Nusra Front against the Syrian government in order to keep their control on that part. So all this talk about violating the deal is, I mean, it's nonsense, because as long as these groups are operating and working under the umbrella of Al-Qaeda, that means the Syrian government has the legal right, according to this de-escalation zone. We are not talking about now international law or the Syrian constitution. So when these groups operate under the flag of Al-Qaeda and they cooperate with this Al-Qaeda, Syrian government can go into the escalation zones and launch offensive against these groups. And now in Idlib, it is the same thing. In Idlib, the main power that is in control of Idlib is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. After rebranding Al-Qaeda or Al-Nusra Front, it became Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which Charles Lister played a role in rebranding that group.
Southwest in June, only one more zone remains in the northwestern governorate of Idlib, and the prospect of a regime offensive there looks increasingly inevitable. Between 2.5 and 3.3 million people are currently crammed into Idlib's largely rural area.
Look, all these numbers are nonsense. In Aleppo, they were saying there are 500,000 civilians trapped in eastern Aleppo, and that the Assad government is coming to butcher them, to massacre them, and all this stuff. And when the evacuation happened, of 500,000 people that they were claiming, including Charles Lister and many other pundits and journalists, only 160,000 people were trapped in eastern Aleppo, according to all the official statistics and the journalists underground. And guess what? How many people of 160,000 chose to go to Idlib, to take buses and go to Idlib? Maximum 10,000 people. 5,000 of them were these militants and their families. All these numbers are exaggerated, and they are trying to raise this point in order to say, oh, there will be a huge humanitarian catastrophe, and that all these people will try to flee to Turkey.
Combined constitute only 3 to 4% of Syria's entire territory. To the north, Turkey has already taken in 3.5 million Syrian refugees and has firmly shut its border. So a major escalation in hostilities in northwestern Syria would in all likelihood result in a level of violence and destruction that we've just not seen in 7 years of conflict. Civilians would suffer immeasurably and in larger numbers than ever before. President Assad has clearly stated his determination to recapture every inch of Syria, and recent events show that he's keeping to his word. The West, meanwhile, appears increasingly disinterested in preventing him from doing so. Russia insists that it's opposed to a resumption of fighting in Idlib, but little evidence actually exists to suggest it has the ability or the will to block Assad from forcing the issue. So, if there was ever a time to back the Russians on something in Syria, this would be it.
I don't want to disappoint you, Charles, but even the Russian Air Force is participating now in the preliminary airstrikes against the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Al-Qaeda headquarters in northern Hama and southern Idlib. And Russia was and is with the Syrian government in its intention to retake and capture Idlib from these terrorist organizations. And let's not forget that these terrorist organizations, especially in just a Shughur area in Idlib, they are flying drones on daily basis against the Russian base in the Mediterranean, and the Russians are also interested to eliminate this threat on their base and also to give the Syrian government the opportunity to retake every inch of Syria under its authority and under the flag of the Syrian government.
Ultimately, though, Turkey stands most in the way of a major escalation, having labelled any threat there as a red line. In recent months, the Turkish military has constructed 12 positions inside northwestern Syria, forming a protective circle around opposition-held territories. Ankara has also engaged with a broad swathe of armed groups in the area, seeking to shape them into a more united force that further deters regime action. But how much Turkey can control groups on the more extremist end of the spectrum remains unclear. Together, Turkey may hold sway over as many as 70,000 armed fighters in Idlib and its surrounding areas, but will this be enough to prevent a regime campaign? Only time will tell. Should hostilities resume, the military campaign will be brutal and probably long. Recent estimates suggest that at least 700,000 people could end up on the run. While an eventual regime victory would probably be guaranteed, the scale of death and destruction would feed an already strong extremist narrative for years to come.
This is really, really crazy. Just imagine 70,000 fighters, according to the estimates of Charles Lister, are in Idlib, and the vast majority of them are Islamist Salafist armed groups who want to create an Islamic state, and they already have an Islamic state in Idlib. They say democracy democracy is the path of backwardness. They say democracy is against the rule of God. Anybody who speaks about secularism or democracy, they are beheaded and being killed in the last years in Idlib. Those who don't pray on the Friday prayers, they are being lynched in the streets. So imagine that 70,000 fighters are imposing this Wahhabi style of life in any place in your own countries, name it, in Paris, in Berlin, in London, in Washington, in any place, even in the peripheries of these capitals, and they are targeting the cities with their missiles, and they are imposing their way of life on the people. What would your governments do, Charles Lister? What would your government do? And this is really crazy. I'm laughing because there is nothing that you can address in a logical way or try to address it in a political way. It's really funny that this guy is a big mouthpiece for Al-Qaeda, and if there is any fairness, this guy should be behind bars for inciting war in Syria, for giving legitimacy for the continuation of the war in Syria, and for supporting terrorist groups in Syria.
And for my work in the Syrian case, I speak to many Syrians in the Al-Qaeda group and on its periphery. I speak to many Syrians in the Al-Qaeda group and on its periphery who frequently say that they go through all of these big debates within their Shura Council, and it takes 3 months for them to hear from Al-Qaeda's central leadership about whether or not a certain decision is legitimate or not.
And this here is a video, of course, brought to you by Apostle Tahar, on No Class Malone. And what was kind of funny is just right before the car fire got started, of course Esau was coming after my car, and I'm still stuck paying Esau over $300 for a ticket I should never have gotten. But nonetheless, though, we were responding to No Class Malone and the fact that, am I a black Hebrew Israelite? And because you'll find out that, well, most of the northern tribes don't even look like so-called black, and there's, shades of brown and there's shades of red. So, they can't throw that label there, so we responded to that. And, of course, this is dealing with No Class Malone and, how these fucking stupid-ass Christians think that they can approach us. Which is hilarious because they keep getting cut. As we know, though, that Esau wants to put that narrative out there. And he's going to fool a lot of people. But you can't fool the elect. And nor can you stop this truth from coming out, because Christianity is confounded. Now that this truth is out there, a lot of people have turned from Christianity. Even Edomites don't believe in Christianity as much anymore. Atheism is even more popular now.
Shalom, Apostle Tahar coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodash. And I'm going to entitle this Vocab Malone's Motley Crew is dying a quick death. As you know, and you watched our videos, an enemy to us, the Israelites, Hebrew Israelites. One of the main enemies is a devil by the name of Vocab Malone. And if you've been keeping up with the different videos of us going back and forth with this demon, you start seeing videos where they're breaking up, they're falling apart, they're arguing amongst each other. I'll give you some examples. G-Man was either kicked out or left the so-called Shield Squad, and one of the leaders, if not the head vampire, is Vocab Malone. And just recently, within the last, I don't know, couple of days, within the last week, today's date, by the way, is 8/22, August 22nd, 2018, the year of prophecy. and G consciousness have left that group. And it was talked about because they're basically racist. So in reality, they're not trying to save the whole world for the love of sweet Jesus. They're basically trying to make money. They're either paid off. And I can understand that devil vocab coming against this truth, and of these Edomites coming against this truth, but I can't understand Jake coming against this truth. They fight, hey, just like when our Lord told Paul that he kicketh against the pricks, and that's what you dumb, monkey-minded Negroes are doing. I'm not even gonna call you Israelites, and I wish the Most High can turn you into an Edomite, so you can go into slavery with the rest of these Edomites. Anyway, this is an article, and the person that put it up is on the bottom of the page, and it's an Uncle Tom nigga named Cam. There goes a blockhead nigga right there. Anyway, this is from the Jude 3 project. This was put up October 17, 2017, and entitled 10 Things to Study Before Engaging Black Hebrew Israelites. And we say time and time again that we're not black Hebrew Israelites, we're Israelites. Anyway, it's a long article, and then you even have comments at the end where you have certain Israelites basically cursing this cube head nigga out for his article. And I'll read some of it, and I'll leave it to y'all to read the rest of it. So I'll put, if I remember, I'll put the description, the link in the description box. Anyway, I'm gonna read this. It says 10 things to study before engaging black Hebrew Israelites. As Christian apologists, we are called to defend the hope we have within us. 1 Peter 3:15. And we are the apologists, not you. Not you Edomites or you Uncle Tom Jakes. However, we must do this strategically and not ignorantly. Many times, well-meaning believers seek out malfeasant arguments or renegade crusades without adequately preparing themselves through study. This is tragic because God calls us to be prepared and well studied for the proclamation of his word. 2 Timothy 2 verse 15. One particular quote Christian apologists should certainly be prepared to engage are the black Hebrew Israelites. And why is that? And he's going to say it. He's going to say we're well studied in the scriptures. And that's why they get their asses kicked spiritually every time they come up against us. Because they don't know the scriptures. And they're beginning to find out. Like, for example, I don't know how many times I've confronted Vocab No Class Malone about the topic of reincarnation, and he runs. He might say, no, it's not biblical. But he never gives scriptures. He never engages with me as far as going back and forth with the scriptures. Because that clown was never sat down and taught that in whatever theological seminary he attended. Because in Christianity, they don't teach reincarnation. So when you throw at Adam, they don't know what to do. They'll say no. They don't. Let's move on to the next subject because they can't engage in that particular subject, and that's just one subject among many. It goes on to say, without preparation, a believer can walk. So anytime you run into one of these Christian apologists, a good topic to bring up is reincarnation. Another one is the subject on Esau or the Edomites, and bring up the scripture Obadiah 1 verse 18. Or you can ask them, Israelites going to be beating the hell out of Edomites in the kingdom? And there's plenty of scriptures on that. Revelation 2 verse 25 and 26. Psalms, the 2nd chapter, you can read the whole chapter. The key verses is the 7th verse, the 8th verse, and I believe the 9th verse. In other words, the Most High is going to give these heathens unto our Lord, and then he's going to beat the hell out of them. So you can bring that up. And then it says in Romans 8 verse 16, starting from the 16th verse, that we are joint heirs with our Lord. So whatever he gets, we're going to get. So if Yahweh Shai going to beat the hell out of these Edomites and these other nations in the kingdom, what are we going to be doing? Standing by and watching? No, we're going to be helping our Lord beat the hell out of them. There will be beatings in the kingdom, and you will be a slave, and you Edomites will be slaves in the kingdom along with the other nations. Read Isaiah 14. Read Isaiah 60. There's so many scriptures on the subject, man. Anyway, it says, without preparation, a believer can walk away discouraged, deflated, and even dejected because the strenuous effort of persuading this unique cult. Black Hebrew Israelites are often very well studied in the Bible. Well, they got that right. Equipped with historical trivia. Yeah, because a big part of the Bible is the history. And familiar with frequent objections. They are often very passionate. And you're supposed to be passionate, man. Meaning on fire. When you go to Revelation, the 3rd chapter, you can start from the 14th verse, 15th verse on down. 14th verse on down, it speaks about being on fire about this truth. And if you're lukewarm, what did the Lord say? He's going to spew you out of his mouth. So if you wake up to the fact that you're an Israelite, especially if you're a man, you're supposed to go out there and teach this word pursuant to Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. And that's one of my favorite scriptures. And High Priest Ariah used to always bring that out concerning how Ezekiel received a roll and he was ordered to eat it. And once he ate it, to go out and teach the children of Israel. So once you eat this roll, you gotta go out, you gotta use it, you gotta pass it on. So all Israelites that are part of camps, and all you Israelite men that have woken up, you're supposed to be part of a camp. And you're supposed to be passionate about this thing. The Most High is not dealing with lukewarm or cold people. He's dealing with passionate people. And when these apologists come up against a particular passionate group of Israelites, they get their asses whipped spiritually. It says they are often very passionate and depend on the individual cult. Depending on the individual or cult can be very condescending, and there's nothing wrong with that, because through our studies we found out that we're over you devils, man. And ultimately we're going to put you devils in the slave, you Edomites in the slavery. Therefore, a soldier in the faith should be equipped, prepared, and you can never prepare for this, man. You don't know the scriptures like we know the scriptures. You can bring your theological bullshit, and that thing is going to be broken up. And bold to share the gospel. Below are 10 questions apologists should understand and be able to answer thoroughly before engaging Black Hebrew Israelites. And I'll go through some of them. Anyway, it says 1. Do you know how and why Christ has fulfilled the law? So that's one question. I'm not going to go all into it. Then they'll give you scriptures. Number 2, do you know how we received the translated and received and translate the Bible? That's question number 2. It says Christians should know how we receive the Bible and how we translate it into modern day language. Many in the Black Hebrew Israelite camp believe the King James Version is the only authentic version. We go through other versions too. When I do videos, I'll use other versions. The main version we use is the King James, and we also use the blue letter, which the Spirit got on me to find that particular site, the blue letter, which everyone in GMS that are passionate, on fire, they use it. And then you even have other camps that use the blue letter. The blue letter was set up for us, even though the blue letter goes off from time to time. So if you're not, if you're not studied, you're gonna run into pitfalls in the blue letter here and there. Anyway, it goes on to say, while also affirming the Apocrypha, a Christian should be able to articulate the formation, reception, and preservation of the biblical text, the process of textual criticism, and refute texts not in the Bible canon. In other words, he's saying the Apocrypha is not a part of the scriptures. Okay, that's what you believe. All right. In other words, you would have to know the history of the Maccabees in order to celebrate Hanukkah, which Yahweh Shai, our Lord, and the apostles, the disciples that became apostles, celebrated that. It's a reference in the script in the New Testament. It speaks about, I believe, the winter dedication, which is the Hanukkah. Moving on. Number 3, do you know the history of the Jewish people? Now, when he says that, he's talking about these fake-ass Jews, which, by the way, very easy to kill that whole thing about those Edomites over there in the land of Israel. They established the state of Israel in 1948 by the Rothschilds in the U.S. and it's the U.S. that's financially supporting them. So that's not the fulfillment of the kingdom, because you wouldn't have Babylon the Great supporting the kingdom of Israel. All right. Number 2, you have Tel Aviv, which is also known as the Pink City, which your biggest gay parade is over there in Tel Aviv. You got homosexuals. I gotta watch the way I say that. I was gonna say the F word, the bundle of sticks word, but I said let me say the homosexual community, or the LGBG, whatever, XYZ, whatever, I forget the acronym, but homosexuals, all right? Transvestites, gays, lesbians, all right? From all over the world, they come to this parade, I believe it's once a year. So if that's the fulfillment of prophecy, would the Most High allow a yearly gay parade to take place in Israel? I think not. Okay, but let me read this again. Do you know the history of the Jewish people? Yeah, the Jewish people were a bunch of Edomites that adopted the laws, some of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and then they began to call themselves Jews, which they're nothing but a bunch of Edomites. Anyway, it says a central claim in much Black Hebrew Israelite theology is a belief that people affected by the evil of the transatlantic slavery, and that's, you can go to you don't even have to go to Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28:68 is the transatlantic slave trade, us being taken from one place to another place on slave ships. You even got Joel, the 3rd chapter, around about, I believe it's the 6th verse. I can read it, where it goes into how we were traded as slaves to the Grecians, or to the Greeks, which are Edomites. It says of the transatlantic slave trade are indeed the lost tribes of Israel. Absolutely, we had to get over here some kind of way. It says, you can also read 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, read that whole chapter, then you can go from there and read, was it 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. You can start from the 40th verse and read down. And that's how we got over here to this new region of land, which Solomon had his navy go back and forth from year to year, you know, bringing back spices and various things in the Americas. So we as Israelites, we knew about America because, like I said, Solomon had a great navy go back and forth to the Americas. And that's how Gad and the other tribes, the so-called, what we call the Latin tribes, were set up over there. It says, this discussion could lead to many debates and rabbit trails, but the apologists should be aware of the formation of Israel in the Bible and some historical facts on the current nation of Israel. There ain't no current nation. The current nation of Israel, which you're saying is the state of Israel, those are a bunch of devils over there. And that's why 2/3 of you coon-ass Negroes got to go. And I'm reading on. It says, do you know God's redemptive plan to save all people and nations? No, I don't know that because it's not in the scriptures. It's not in the scriptures, all right? It says different camps will disagree on this point. Yeah, like for example, GOCC claims that Edomites and other nations can make it, which is a bold-faced lie. It's bullshit. Or IOG, Israel of God, they teach that Edomites can make it and other nations can make it. The Lord is not dealing with those groups. The only groups that the Most High is dealing with, starting with Great Millstone and some of the other groups that came out of One West. And Ricard of the GOCC, he came out of One West. He completely changed the gospel around, man. And you have other alphabet groups, IUIC, ISUPK, HODC, LOI, HOI, and there's so many groups out there which came out of One West. And these other splinter groups that watch videos and made up their own group, they're following one of the One West camps. Because the truth came out of One West. And the top teacher was High Priest Ariah. Okay, it says, I'm going to read the question number 4. Do you know God's redemptive plan to save all people and nations? The Most High is not coming to save all people and nations. It says different camps will disagree on this point. However, it is important to know the intention of God to save all people from different tribes, tongues, and nations when engaged with a camp that believes only Israelites will be saved. Now, he got that from Revelation, the book of Revelation. Let me go to it. Revelation 7. And you read about 12,000 out of each of the tribes of Israel. And in total, it's 144,000. Those would be the top heads of Israel, led by the apostles, the 12 apostles. Okay, let me go down to the 13th verse. Revelation 17, verse 13. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? Those are Israelites, by the way. And whence come they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their... Another word for great tribulation is the Jacob's trouble, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Now, who's the Lamb? The Lamb is Yahweh Shai. He's known as the Lamb of the Most High, and he's also known as the Lion, or the Lion of Judah. And the only ones that can make a garment white in the blood of the Lamb are Israelites, because the Lord only came for the children of Israel. Matthew 1 verse 21, Matthew 10 5 and 6. Well, you can actually read the whole 10th chapter. There's so many scriptures on Acts 5 29 to 31. So the Lord only came for the children of Israel. It says, I got to jump back up. There was a point I missed. Give me a second. Let me just pull up something right quick. Okay, the 9th verse. Revelation 7 verse 9. It says, After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Those people from different nations and tongues and kindreds are Israelites that were scattered. You know, the scriptures speak about this diaspora in Isaiah 11 and 10 on down. That's what that's talking about. And it says here in Revelation 5, let me go right, and this is, you can read this whole, there's only 14 verses. Anyway, it speaks about the okay, I'm going to start from the 8th verse. Revelation 5 verse 8. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. So who are the saints? The saints are the children of Israel. That's in Psalms 148, if I'm not mistaken, around the 13-14 verse. It goes on to say in the 9th verse, and they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou was slain and hath redeemed us. The us are the Israelites, starting with the elect, the 1/3, and then ultimately all of Israel, to the Most High by the blood by thy blood. Remember, the Lord only came for the children of Israel. By thy blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, meaning Israelites are scattered throughout the whole planet. Matter of fact, let me go to that right quick. Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11, I'll start from 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, which are the Israelites. Because another name that was given to us was Gentiles when the Most High turned his back against us. And his rest shall be glorious, which is the kingdom. 11 verse, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people who are the Israelites, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Patros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the island of the sea. 12 verse, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. That's why when you go back to Revelation the 7th chapter and then you read Revelation the 5th chapter, it speaks about every nation, kindred, tongue. It's talking about Israelites that were scattered abroad. That's why it says here in the 12th verse, Isaiah 11 verse 12, and assembled the outcasts of Israel and gathered together the dispersed of Judah from the what? The four corners of the earth. And then once we get together, the 13th verse on down tells you how Ephraim and Judah is going to get together and we're going to beat the hell out of the Philistines, the Edomites, the Moabites, and the Ammonites. So you need to shut up with that damn madness. Question number 5. Are you competent enough to have a discussion about the Hebrew language? No, you're not. Number 6. Are you competent enough to have a discussion about racism and racial reconciliation? Now, we just found out that 2 so-called black members of the Shield Squad left basically because they found out these devils led by the head vampire Vocab No Class Malone, that they ain't nothing but a bunch of racists. They think they're better than you. And this knucklehead Ricard from the GOCC allowed Edomites, he taught that Edomites could be saved, and he allowed Edomites to come into the congregation, and they try to rule over them. So they had to kind of shut them down. Question number 7. Do you have an accurate account of the transatlantic slave trade? And this is, mind you, this is a bonehead nigga saying all this. Question number 8. Have you consulted the best commentaries on Deuteronomy? And Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, especially the 68th verse, when people hit that, see that scripture, that seals the deal for them. I'm an Israelite. That's talking about me. Question number 9. Are you aware of the black presence in the Bible and church history? And question number 10. Do you know the camp you are reaching? Yeah, because you have GMS, you have IUIC, you have ISUPK, which basically their focus is on the One Westers, the camps that came out of One West. Because the camps that came out of One West teach that you white people are the biblical Edomites and you're going into slavery. Okay, so let me read. Okay, that's question number 10. Do you know the camp that you are reaching? Last but not least, it is helpful to know which camp of the black Hebrew Israelites you are talking with. Many have different beliefs, and it would be helpful to ask questions about the specific camp instead of assuming. Yeah, because what these demons teach is that we are justified by the law. We don't teach that, man. We all we have all broken the law. That's why the Most High gave us a new covenant. All right. And there goes the blockhead nigga again. Why don't this Negro address the racism that's going on with Vocab, his fellow apologists? Hey, and that's why, man, I'm gonna be happy when the Most High take you 2/3 out of the frame. Anyway, with that, Wait, let me see something. Okay, this is a comment by Yadi Daya, and this was 6 days ago. It says, OMG, none of these would help you. Laugh out loud. Okay, this is another one from Yamar. This was put up a week ago. Those 10 instructions will get them completely sliced. This comment was this comment was from Joshua. Excuse me. It says, "Dude, seriously, you got to be on someone's payroll. This was weak, but the truth is unavoidable. While I agree some camps are way off, I don't know what he means by that. To deny that we are indeed the true Israelites is absurd. Then the scriptures you use, man, you get cut bad because you obviously have no real knowledge of what they mean outside of the way you were taught to view scriptures. You really said proper hermeneutics is indeed the understanding. Hermeneutics goes into interpretation. Understanding Deuteronomy 28. Really, bruh? Laugh out loud. But then there are some other scriptures that confirm this. But okay, guess Jeremiah 17:4 applies to the Jewish Holocaust. Or Joel 3:3, and I read Joel 3. I mentioned Joel 3:3 needs proper exegesis as well. Man, go ahead. I could almost precept every scripture you posted, but I pray the Most High open your eyes. Well, I pray the Most High don't open that nigga's eyes. This is put up by Esau the Devil. A comment put up by Esau the Devil. This week, this is a weak attempt at best to stop Bible prophecy. Run up on us and get cut by the word of the Most High. Explain this, please. Revelation 13:10, King James Version, 10th verse. He that leaveth in the captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The saints are Israelites. But they'll say, well, that doesn't mean what it says it means. You people are a joke, man. That's why you're falling apart. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.
And speaking of other false camps, it looks like we are talking about ISUPK, another one that's just as bad as IUIC. You know, they'll pretty much tell you that only General Yohana knows the truth, and that if it ain't from General Yohana, then to not believe anybody else. So, obviously, ISUPK is back to their old shit again, and you know, there's another video put together about how the Most High hates a lying tongue. So, well, we already know that these other groups are liars to begin with, because they're not telling you the truth. They'll tell you that the mark of the beast is just an embargo. You know, that it's Christianity, or it's, you know, that the RFID is not the mark. And those are all lies. So the Most High is going to come down hard on these groups, and I think that most are turning away from the groups. Now, the 2/3 are going to fall into these groups very easily. But the elect are going to get out of these other groups. They're going to say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't line up. That doesn't make any sense. Just like how we got out of Christianity to begin with.
All right. Shalom. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Bahashem. Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS for teaching us this knowledge, for being diligent so we can get this knowledge through the Spirit, Rakakodash. Peace and salutations to all the hopeful elect Akim out there throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing His word and truth and sincerity. Shalom. This is the brother Ira from the Valdosta camp, and this just like a little commentary video on the I'm doing this video, because I saw the elder did a video on this Defenders for the Truth. I believe that's his Defenders for the Truth. Yep, that's his channel. He be putting up good edifying videos, so brothers see it, go check it out. But man, these guys that you see before you, man, the other camps, IUS, ISUPK, whatever, man, all these false Israelite groups, man, the Most High Yahweh Hashem Al Shah gonna destroy these guys, man, because they're liars. They got strife and envy, and they do this work deceitfully, man. They not really in it because they believe in Yahweh Hashem Al Shah, man. So I'm gonna play a little bit of this video and get a couple of scriptures and be out, man, because the Most High got these guys, the angels mark down everything they say, man. So hey, don't be doing this work deceitfully and lying, man.
ICPK is undefeated. Okay. We've been established since 1969, laying down the truth. But for the record, I will say this. What you said it was, the R, whatever? No. Actually, I asked you a question about the chip and the chip. I ain't know where we'll say no chip. Yes, it is. You know what I'm saying? It's saying chip in there right now. When you go into the... Hold on. Does it say...
First off, look, this dude got on glasses. He ain't even showing his eyes, man. And the Most High blinded this nigga, because he don't know what the RFID microchip is, which is plain as day, man. That's why Akim in his truth, counted a blessing. Counted a blessing that Yahweh Hashem Al Shah gave you the wisdom, knowledge, and understandings to know what the RFID microchip is, yo. Ka halayim Yahweh Hashem Al Shah, man. By Hashem Rakakodash, man, because the Most High allowed us to know, man, and we could have been blind like this guy.
A chip in your right hand. When you go into that law in Revelation 13 chapter, right? When you go into that word, the Greek term is charisma. It means something that is inserted or implanted into you. That would be a microchip. You cannot insert Christianity in you. If that's the case, then everybody is Christianity. That's what I said. That's what.
See, look, this nigga lying on the scriptures, man. We're gonna continue on, man.
Exactly, and that's what's been inserted into it. The chip has nothing to do with no Bible. When you're talking about mark, that mark is for Christianity or any other ideology.
This is Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. Those 6 things do the Lord hate. Hate, man. The Most High hates these things, yo. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue. This guy just lied on the scriptures, man.
When you go into that word, the Greek term is charisma. It means something that is inserted or implanted into you. That would be a microchip. You cannot insert Christianity in you. If that's the case, then everybody is Christianity. That's why you cannot insert
a lying tongue, a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. These guys that's teaching this, man, they got a lot of blood on hands.
If that's the case, then everybody is Christianity. That's why, exactly.
So he's saying the RFID microchip is Christianity, man. This guy got innocent blood on his hands, which they ain't innocent, but you know, he teaching lies, man.
Exactly, and that's what's been inserted into it. The ship has nothing to do with no Bible.
Nigga said the chip got nothing to do with the Bible, man. It's a lot, Aki.
Talks about whoever receives these marks, this mark is going to be destroyed, right? So if that Christian name is being destroyed and everybody else is being destroyed, all the fake camps is being destroyed. You saying? Now, GMS, y'all believe in rape, don't you? So y'all believe in rape, right? Regular girls, right? And I'm gonna say a brotherhood. You understand? You look at these other camps, man, they rape us, man.
Nigga just called GMS. He called us rapists because we teach the truth about rape. You know, and if you in the ancient days, in Leviticus it's a law. If you used to see a woman and you know she was a virgin, you can take hold of her and rape and so-called rape her, man. You know, that used to go on in the ancient days, man. But it was a law on how to deal with that. You know, which the law on how to deal with that, if that occurred, you would give the father 50 shackles of silver, man. Nobody ain't going around fucking raping no little girls, man. We got families, kids, all that, man. And if we was raping little girls, we'd be in jail. Esau put us in jail, man. Put us to death under jail. This is Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. Those 6 things doeth the Lord hate. The Lord hates you niggas, man. Lying on the word, lying on his men. Yea, 7 are abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, and heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that are swift and run into mischief, a false witness that speak of lies, and he that soweth discourse amongst brethren, a false witness that speak of lies, man. That's what these guys are, man. Most High hates these niggas, man.
And I'm gonna say a brotherhood. You understand? You look at these other camps, man, they rape us, man.
The Hebrew Israelites teach that the Most High is the author, and nothing happens without the power of the Most High. Like, for example, the World Trade Center. The Most High.
They just look like they don't got the spirit with them, man. These guys they just look bugged out. They would scriptures say, be ye not equally yoked with unbelievers. They with the black consciousness. It's like they just with everybody, man. There's probably some Christians out there, you know, straight bugged out, man. And listen to this guy, man.
Okay, yeah, the Most High is in control. Did the Most High create homosexuality? He created all mankind. So he created a human body. And there's a lot of different things you can do with the body, right? The Lord...
That nigga beating around the question. Did the Most High create homosexuality, man? The Most High creates all things, good and evil, man. To justify him into destroying your ass, yo. For whatever wickedness you did, man. Stop beating around the fucking question, man. It's a lot, Akim. That's the spirit, man. These guys, yo. Most High gonna deal with these guys if they don't repent, man.
The Lord offered that you do with your body what he said to do with it. So if a man has a penis, that penis is for a woman. Right, but I'm saying, why would the Most High introduce homosexuality to the planet? Why would he bring that here? He didn't introduce homosexuality. So where it come from? Where it come from? The spirits that he gave orders to cause chaos, they created homosexuality.
Hey, man, this guy, man. Hey, man. That shit was funny what that guy just said, yo. This is Romans chapter 8 verse 7, because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh by Hashem Shai, neither indeed can be. These guys got a carnal mind, man. They ain't spiritual at all, man. That's why the Most High gonna destroy them. That's why the Most High didn't give them wisdom, knowledge, and understandings, man. That's why it's a blessing that Yahweh Hashem Shai gave us this wisdom, knowledge, and understandings that we gotta hold fast to, Akim. Most definitely including myself, man. Cause those guys straight look like fools on camera, man. Verse 8. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh. Which these guys, the first guy you saw that said the RFID microchip ain't the chip, he can't please Yahweh, man. The Most High looking at him angry, man. And those other two guys you just saw, man. You know, the one nigga lying, calling us rapists. Hey, all three of them niggas, all three of them niggas said we rapists, man. The one nigga talking about the Most High didn't create homosexuality. These guys are bugged out, man. You see the spirit ain't with them, man. They have no faith. They don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai with them. And that's why it's amazing if Yahweh Shema Shai got his spirits on you to discern who's preaching the truth and who's not, man. We're going to be prepared in that day, Lord willing. We part of the elect, Joe. We've been praying to the Most High to give us a strong spirit to not take the RFID microchip while these other guys out here just playing around until that day come as a thief in the night, man. It's coming, man. Verse 9, but ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if so be that the spirit of Yahweh dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the spirit of Hamashiach, he is not of his. And the spirit is on us, man. We got the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai on us, man. You know, Rakah Kodash. That's why we know what the RFID microchip is. That's why we know this America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. That's how we know what the laws on rape, if that occurred, how you supposed to deal with it. And we not offended. You know, because we had a spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai on us, and we want to keep that spirit, man. Because we got that spirit because the Most High set up men to break it down, to give us the truth, man. And we believe, so the Most High open up our spirit, man. And they show us right there in the book, man. Ain't no way around the truth, man. The Lord said, if somebody trying to come up any other way, you a thief and a robber, man. Because you niggas trying to be politically correct, if I said that right. Niggas trying to not be offensive. Man, I ain't want to make this video too long, man. I'm going to read verse 10. I'm going to close it out. It says, and if Hamashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. That's right, man. Hey, the spirit within inside this body is dead because Yahweh Shema Shai gonna change our bodies in the twinkling of an eye. We're gonna get new bodies, man. Same spirit, but our spirit is made pure. We're at peace in the spirit because we know the truth, man. We know the 100% truth of the scriptures, man. You know, we know what's about to happen, man. We understand prophecy. We understand the laws, and we understand the what the scriptures are saying, man. You know, and it's a beautiful thing, yo. So, you know, with that, want to give, Lord willing, I hope this video was edifying to you sheep out there, man, to keep pushing, to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakakadash for giving you that spirit, man. That spirit to believe and to have hope and to just believe in the words of the Most High, man. Having that faith, yo. Lord willing, I hope this video was edifying, man. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakadash for you know, a showing us the truth, man. The truth. Kahalayam Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakakadash, man. Man, yo, it's amazing, man. Giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS for teaching us his knowledge. Peace and blessings and salutations to all the hopeful elect Akim out there throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing his word in truth and sincerity, man. Shalom.
Speaking of Christianity, here's another video put together, and pretty much just like what I was saying before. Christianity is the biggest institutional failure in history. Because, well, we've said it like this before. If you have 2.2 million Christians in the world, then why is everything fucked up? Then it definitely is a failure. Even George Carlin got to the point that he became atheist when he says that's because there is no Humpty Dumpty and there is no God. He got to the point that he became atheist because he's seen how hypocritical Christianity is. Because Christianity is a farce. You know, pretty much, you know, it's all about collecting money, passing the plates, you know, so they can get more rich. While the pastors run around in a limousine, flying over to Israel all the time, getting to go on trips, you know, or going to go to Spain or other places, just having a good old time, while others are struggling to make it because, you know, pretty much it's a whorehouse. And so Christianity, being the whore that it is, no, I'm not saying that it's the whore Babylon the Great, but certainly Babylon the Great pushed Christianity and is the biggest pusher of this false doctrine. But anyhow, yeah, man, all together, collectively, it's a failure. It's a big-time failure. That's why No Class Malone doesn't stand a chance trying to battle us. Oh, he might show you some stuff where he had won the arguments against these other groups. Well, yeah, because they're sellouts. Of course they want to be friends with him. Like, you got the good Samaritans, which are really the bad ones. And you got all these other groups that want to hang out and be friends with vocab. But we know he's not our friend. We know that Esau has been a liar from the beginning. So, anyhow, we'll just take a look at this video here. And this is from another camp, and I'm just going to let the video play here and end it here. But this whole society is fake. Yeah, we've been lied to about everything, and we're coming out and we're prophesying against it. So, you know, if you're new and coming into this thing and all that, what you need to do is you need to, of course, meet up with your nearest camp, and just keep on watching these videos and then go out there and teach. You know, teach what you know. Teach the basics. And prophesy against Mount Seir. Until next time, I say Shalom and Barakatah. Hope that these videos have been edifying.
Alright.
From the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 7 and verse 1. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us clean ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua God.
Right, so you want to be separate, you know, from this world. That's right. You want to be yeah, want to be separate from this world, man. They don't want to be caught up and tied up in this shit. Because it ain't even worth it, man. And really, you benefit more not keeping these holidays and shit. Because right now, after September passed, it's holiday season again.
Yeah, I don't think you pocket money.
Yeah. And Jake wonder why they so fucking broke. You keeping all these fucking holidays, man. I save money on the holidays because I ain't gotta buy nobody shit. I'm saving a lot.
You know it's crazy.
Man, if it's true.
You know it's crazy too, man. Like at my job, they got Halloween shit out already. And yo, the Edomite was like, yo, what's she say? I was like, yo, look, man, they got the Halloween shit. She's like, yeah, that's my favorite holiday. In my head, I'm like, you a fucking dumb.
Yeah, and they got the Fright Fest, the Great Adventure shit.
Yeah, come.
People like to be scared. People like demons jumping on them and shit.
Spiritual, yeah, this is like the chalk line. Locked up to the teeth, right? He marred his
This place dead, man. It's a known zone in Philadelphia. One of the top cities on the East Coast. Look at this shit, bro. Same thing with downtown North. The whole shit is just like it's village, man. The city of America, man. I bet you like 10, 15 years ago, this shit was like vibrant. Live. It's like, you know what I'm saying? But you could, like, even driving to here, we looking around like, man, America finished, man. It's done.
We go down to the city, we'll see people, but not like how it used to be.
Yeah, this shit is.
But they have a lot of construction damage. Some of the places that people chilling like Mount Park, man. They just been working on it. What did it say? I hope they never finish this. I'll say, it's going to say, he'll build up and I'll say,
But you can feel, like, if you spiritually look at this place, it's like, man, get the fuck out of here. This place done, man. I went through Irvington, man, in my old hood up in Jersey. You know, went walking through there and shit. Because I was at my uncle's house. Like, let me walk through and see, like, that shit was like a ghost town, because the nickname is Ghost Town. That shit was a ghost town for real, bro. Bandit buildings and shit. Nobody out. The shit was just, and it was like around 5, 6 in the evening. But the shit was like dead as hell, man. It was just like, dead. Like the spirit is gone, man.
It's like you go to Camden, man. That used to be a major, they're like I guess you say like warehouses. You know what I'm saying? We got Kansas City, all the things like that over there. You know what I'm saying? But if you go over there, because like I was watching a documentary about it, and the dude was saying how they had a hotel there, people used to come there and all this shit, and walk with Whitney, sign some shit over there and all that. Now you go over there, that shit is just dead, man. A bunch of dead bodies walking around buildings, empty, vacant, you know, burnt down shit. It's all fucked up.
Give me Isaiah 24.
Yeah, and the Day of Atonement is tomorrow, man. You know, so our people supposed to be preparing ourselves instead of trying to figure out how we gonna make our plans work in this society. We're supposed to be trying to prepare ourselves, rehearsing the righteous acts for the kingdom. You know, so tomorrow, us men of the Lord, we're gonna be keeping a Day of Atonement while 2/3 of our people is going, which is a high holy day. You know, 2/3 of our people gonna be doing folly and a bunch of bullshit. Eating, they gonna be feasting. And then that day we gonna be eating and they gonna be starving. That's right. Yo, that's right, bro. That's slaughter. Okay, man. That shit there, man. Section Y'all can't come dance here. You might come dance here.
Show that fire.
This is Isaiah chapter 24, verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broke the everlasting covenant. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth.
Right, because the devil, he polluting every damn thing, man. We know.
And they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burnt, and few men left.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. These drafts going to come back. People going to be getting killed. People going to be dying from diseases, disease warfare, chemical, biological warfare. Read on.
It says, I just said about the diseases and shit. It was King Edward. One of them niggas over there in Europe, man. He said if he could come back reincarnated, because he didn't understand that, he said he would come back as a disease that killed millions of people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, God damn.
And he saw us as death.
God, that's right.
You know, we know.
I got it said real fast. Jude 1 and 8. It says, likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. Getting into how the American dream, Esau trying to push that throughout the four corners of the earth, beginning with America, how the Lord look at, the so-called American dream. He look at it as filthy, Likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. It says, that was nice. Verse 7, right, verse 7. It says, then new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, and all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth.
Bring that part back there for
the curse? From the top.
No.
Alright. Verse 6, Isaiah 24:6. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burnt, and few men left. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, and the merry-hearted do sigh.
Right, and the merry-hearted. So people is not happy, man. What's a club? A club is about a bunch of empty motherfuckers trying to live behind the scenes, man. You empty inside, man. Your mother's sick. You can't pay your bills. Your cable just got cut off, but you in the club fronting. Yeah, girl. Like you got it like that. Really, you empty inside, man. Yeah, them holidays is about a bunch of broke motherfuckers studying, man. You in the club trying to pretend to everybody else like you doing good. You ain't doing fucking good, man. You empty yourself. You need to take your ass to a lounge or a bar with some fucking jazz music, because your ass mourning, man. But people like to pretend like, and when you check out clubs now, nobody dance no more.
They all on the wall.
People all on the wall looking at who's popping bottles. Motherfuckers is lazy, man.
Yeah, only the nigga woman really be having fucking fun at this fucking club, booty bouncing and shit.
But that ain't even really dancing. You just going like this all day. Your ass fat already, so it's going to jiggle already. You just, that ain't dancing. You know what I'm saying? That ain't dancing. When we brothers used to pop, let me see your foot, let me see your foot, the chain let you slide and shit. Jake was freaking it, man. Motherfuckers don't dance no more. Pop lock it. Motherfuckers sweating his ass off, pop locking and shit for hours, battling each other. Motherfuckers battling. That's dancing. And that's the dude who got the girls. The dude who could move and dance. Because Eve was looking like, I want this moving big like that. You know what I'm saying? He got flavor. He got style.
They got them dances from back when, and it's funny because when you bring that up, it's dances from back when they used to just really be killing it. Like it's not even like the line dance. It's really like they used to dance and really kill the whole house. Like people, like they used to like, you know how you say they were pop locking and they'd usually make a circle and do whatever they do. They had people in them old barns and they were just going in. Somebody played the piano.
That's what you say, this is my jam. Because back in slavery, they took the slaves to jamborees. You know what I'm saying? A jamboree was a club. You know what I'm saying? So when you say this is my jam, really it went back to the jamborees where the master used to take all the slaves to dance and act a fool and entertain. Now a club ain't nothing but a modern day jamboree.
Raise boom boom though.
You know, but people don't dance. The people who really get the chicks is a cat who popping bottles.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because why chicks is looking for the dude who popping bottles? Because poverty's up.
That's right.
So really it's like, look, I'm looking for the dude whoever's in here popping $300, $400 bottles. You know, so the whole club scene is smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. Even the drug dealers, they only could pop a couple of bottles before they start tapping into their re-up money. So really, they don't got it like that. But so the whole thing is just smoke and mirrors. It's all. This whole place is a big lie. Everything you see around you is just like a big lie, and it's people pretending and acting like they got it like that, but they don't. Give me one more scripture. Give me finish that. Then we gonna pull out.
That's why what's the name?
Give me Revelations 3:17.
That's why you Richmond with Jada Kiss said, he said, I don't do the rappers, I'm around golf with. I mean too much fake jewelry and downfall prayers, man.
Because everything is fake, man. You got niggas in there with cheap ass Cuban zirconia diamond earrings, but they popping bottles, right? But if you follow him to his car, this nigga's in an old 2 Honda.
Yo, cut.
You know what I'm saying? But or he might rent some shit like, yo nigga, let me hold your car for the night. He might steal his uncle's car. So now he at the club, right, doing all this shit. But really he ain't got it like that. You know, the woman there trying to act like they having a good time, but really she just got diagnosed with breast cancer. Your son just got a 25 life sentence. You know what I'm saying? Your nephew just got 7 years for doing armed robbery. You backed up on rent. You know? You backed up. You backed up on rent. Your baby mother just got evicted, but you here in the club fronting like shit all good. Shit ain't all good. We know the curses is on our people. You put on that skimpy ass outfit and that fake ass smile to try to make it look like your life is running smooth. Your shit ain't running smooth. You catching hell just like everybody else. You just faking it. That's why I hate clubs, man. Brothers going out, you going to a club, don't offer me, man. I'm good. Maybe if you got a bar or a lounge where we could kick it at, cool, but that whole club shit, then you got Wicked 2/3 in there waiting to shoot shit up. You know what I'm saying? Because he can't get in. Or some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So that whole club scene is Satan, man. And it's fake. That's right. It's fake. Finish that.
It says, Isaiah 24, verse 8, the mirth of Sabbath ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth.
The noise of them that rejoice ended. Because these clubs is closing down. Because you know what a lot of people doing? They getting drunk before they go to the club. They getting drunk before they go. You know, so it's like, look, we're going to hit the half bottle of Henny, right? We're going to get down on the 5th. We're going to drink that. That way when we get in there, they're going to have a 1 bottle minimum. You're going to buy 1 bottle that's going to boost this shit. We're going to leave out the back, hit the L, and we ain't buying no more liquor for the night. That's what niggas be doing, man. Niggas found a way to get twisted without paying all that fucking money. And they use, so the clubs like, look, how much liquor we sold tonight? They like, look, about $600, and it's a weekend. They're like, shit, we was doing $3,500 or more. Now you're saying we only sold $600 of liquor, but we had all these motherfuckers in here.
that was Jake getting nice.
Yep.
And you look at him, he looks saucy.
Yeah.
You know, because Jake getting lifted before they go. The cut corners. So a lot of these, look, even in the hood, these bars used to stay open to what? 2, 3, 4 in the morning. These shits be closed like 12 now.
These are closed at 2.
Yeah. It depends on the city. Like a lot of shit be closed like 12. I got you. Go ahead. I got you.
No. It says, they shall not drink wine with the song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down.
Right, the city of confusion is what broken down. Look, he trying to get a ride by beeping his horn. He looking for attention. But really, if this shit was popping, somebody would jump out. Yo, taxi! Look.
No, he like, oh, you need it.
Look, but that's how hungry. Look at him, huh? That's how hungry he is for money. He hungry. He hungry right now. He like, man, it's dry. I'm burning gas. Ain't no rods.
Did I hear somebody say taxi?
I'm gonna drive through here and hit the horn a couple of times, see something jump.
Look,
he just parked up. See, he parked up. You better do what your man doing and save that motherfucking gas instead of driving around hoping you get a ride. And that's America, man. The hopes and dreams of these people are crushed. Look, he got something. He happy as hell. Like, I hope you're going far, motherfucker.
He just hopped off this cab and walked over there to that truck.
He probably had a cheaper price.
Yeah, cut.
You know, it's cutthroat.
Yeah, cut.
That's the spirit of America, cutthroat. Even in a world with brothers doing wickedness, there was no such thing as nickels or 2 for 5s. It was dimes and 20s. So when you finished your pack, you had a good stack or something. You know, then the nigga came cutthroat. Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna do nickels. Then the nigga with the nickel said, I'm gonna do 2 for 5. Then the nigga who did the 2 for 5 like, fuck that, I'm doing $3 bottles. Then the nigga who doing $3 bottles said, fuck that, I'm selling grams of feet. I'm selling break off. So it's a cutthroat. It's just grimy as hell here, man. And that's the spirit of America. That's it, man. 3 and 17.
From the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 17. Because thou sayest.
And that's how Israel's supposed to dress them right there, man. And that's attractive, man.
She got everything.
You can't even see her fucking ankles, man. You see a woman like that, you like, I know that shit.
That's why I jumped on it like,
But when you see like hoes, like them hoes earlier, now she can still be a hoe dressed like that.
You got a lot of money.
But it's still like more appealing, man. That's a turn on. You gotta be out of your mind and say that ain't sexy, man.
I had to tell her you got to do it before one time. She used to walk around the crib naked all the time. Sometimes I wouldn't be, I had to tell her you more attractive when you got close. I want to take them off. You always sit here naked all the time. We just got finished down here tonight. I'm not thinking about it the whole time you're naked is going on.
You want to chase. But hey, that sister that just spin through, that was like yo, reincarnated Sarah.
Oh man.
I might be your next door neighbor in a minute.
That's dressing like that is a form of foreplay for men. I mean, because all you got to go off is how the woman's face look and what type of spirit she dealing with. But while you talking to her, while you checking her out, the more if she got a cute face, she got a good spirit on her, you can't help but to think like, damn, that shit probably what that shit look like under there. I mean, you thinking this hugging her nice.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth. And sincere Shalom to the elect. This is another edition of GMS Raindrops. Spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. It's something on my mind about how there's a lot of young brothers coming into this thing. I mean, this Israelite thing is starting to get big. Okay? And just like we were young brothers at one time, they also need to be taught the basics, the milk. Okay, just like we did. And, for a lot of the brothers that have a hard time, the brothers that have been here maybe 2-3 years, maybe even 3 or 4 or so on years, they may have a tough time coming up with ideas for 3 videos a week. Well, why don't you just teach the basics, man? Because those brothers that are coming in, they need to drink milk. Okay, if you're trying to get all super advanced, they're trying to get into the meat all the time. You're neglecting teaching the basics, and those basics are so important. That's the fundamentals of the scriptures are very important to teach. Okay, I'm gonna get this scripture. 1 Corinthians 3 and 4. For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are ye not carnal? Who then is Paul, and who is Apollos? But ministers by whom ye believed, even as the word gave to every man. I have planted, Apollos watered, but Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai gave the increase. Okay, so these young brothers that are coming in, the plants that are sprouting up, and what do they need? They need to be watered. Okay, they need to be watered, man. Alright, they need to drink the milk. It's simple, man. If you're having a hard time coming up with lessons, just teach the basics, man. Give them brothers some milk. The simple topics. The Hebrew Israelite 101, I guess you could say, and 102, and so on and so forth. All right. Isaiah 55 and 1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters. All right, those brothers are thirsty. All right. And remember when you first came into the truth, man? That's all you wanted to do was learn. But they can't learn the meat. They can't jump right to the meat because they'll choke on it. They have to be fed milk. Okay, they're newborn babes. They're babies, man. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters. And he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel every time you do a lesson, man. Yea, come, buy wine and milk, without money and without price. But what if you're not giving them milk? What if you're giving them the meat all the time, man? Even some of the elders of the various camps, there's times when they go into the basics, and the basics are so important, man. That milk is so important. It builds a good foundation. Alright? So if you neglect the basics, man, then really you're not standing on solid footing. Alright? I got, actually I got 2 more scriptures. Isaiah 28 and 9. And then I'll wrap it up, man. But the whole point is this. You know, you brothers that are having a hard time coming up with lessons, you're probably just thinking too damn hard, man. Just teach the basics, man. You know? There's brothers that have to be... There's young plants that have to be watered and grow into bigger plants. Alright? They have to grow just like we did. Isaiah 28 and 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. Okay, so you really don't even start understanding these scriptures until you start eating the meat. But what must you do? You must be fed the milk, okay? You must be fed the milk. You have to be a new man when you come into this thing, you know? A newborn babe. And the scriptures say, not to handle that which is beyond their strength, man. Alright? So, you younger brothers, you also have a responsibility to try not to get into topics that are too advanced for you, man. You know, we've seen a lot of guys over the years bug out over that. They try and get a little too deep before they're ready. You know? Look at it like a giant swimming pool, man. You got different levels of the swimming pool. You got the shallow end for the kids. You got the middle end for the teenagers and the deep end for the adults, man. You know? You young brothers that are in the kiddie end of the pool, shallow end of the pool, you know, you just got to learn the basics. Okay? This is Hebrews 5 and 12, then I'll wrap it up. For when, Hebrews 5 and 12, for when, for the time, ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. So you need the milk first, man. You know, I believe I proved the point. You need the milk first. Alright? Don't go beyond that which you can handle. You know, and you need brothers to teach you the milk. That's what that's what GMS Raindrops is, man. You know, it's basically basic scriptures, man. Get into basic topics. Alright? You don't always need to go 3, 4, 5 deep. Okay? But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, double honest apostles, great millstone. Till next time, Shalom.